Hi everyone, my name is Grant Smith. I'm the Communications Manager at Connecting Up and TechSoup New Zealand, and I'm very pleased to welcome you to today's webinar. Today's session is how DiviPay is helping not-for-profits save time and improve financial control. Presenting today will be from DiviPay, Kale Bulgen. Kale is currently the treasurer of an education-focused NFP organisation and has prior experience working in technology with a leading accounting software provider and as a public practice accountant. Kale joined the team at DiviPay to help with their GTM initiatives. Joining us from Myob is Leanne Berry. Leanne operates a very successful bookkeeping and small business consulting practice in Bathurst in New South Wales. She's had over 20 years of experience working in the NFP sector from finance to board positions, and she's acutely aware of the challenges and opportunities facing the not-for-profit sector. Recently, Leanne joined Myob in a part-time role as Community Relations Manager, and she partners to help Myob partners get the most from their opportunities with Myob. Some quick housekeeping before we start. If you have any technical issues, you can let me know about those through the questions panel, which you should be able to see. Just to note that most technical issues do tend to be around bandwidth or microphone settings or such like, and the best way to deal with them is to close down any programs or windows that you're not using, and if that fails, to exit and re-enter the platform. Usually that'll fix things, and if that doesn't work, then please message me. And please note that you should also use the questions panel for actual questions, and I will be presenting those to the team at the end of the session. Please also note that today's session will be recorded and that you will receive a copy of the recording and the presentation afterwards. Look, that's everything from me. I would now like to hand you over to Kale.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Grant. Leanne, how are you? Thanks for joining us.
I'm really well, Kale. How about you?
Oh, Leanne, can you hear me?
I am really well.
Yes,
How about
I'm well. I'm well. Sorry, already started with a little timing delay.
That's okay. Looking forward to presenting DiviPay and Myob to everybody that's on the webinar today.
Awesome, awesome. And thank you so much for all of our attendees for joining us today. And thank you, Grant, for the introduction. As you mentioned, my name's Kale. I'm part of the go-to-market team here at DiviPay. Basically, my job is to share the news and information about what we do, how we work, and specifically with Connecting Up, showing the non-profit community of Australia, how we kind of work alongside a few non-profits across all different types of services. For today, I guess, of course, we're going to run through DiviPay, and to start with, what is DiviPay? DiviPay is a financial control tool. We work with really small non-profits up to $50,000 revenue, or as little as $50,000 revenue, up to some of Australia's largest non-profits with hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. And our platform helps non-profits really control spend, whether that's bill payments and accounts payable processes. What we are most well known for is our smart corporate card technology for really helping manage, control, and automate the data entry around employee spend as well. A bit of an agenda for today's discussion. So Leanne and I are going to start by just sharing a few of the problems that we commonly see in non-profits that relate to really financial and accounting controls and management. We're then going to jump into a little bit of a deep dive and demonstration of the DiviPay platform. We'll spend a little bit of time sharing with you all the Connecting Up offers that both DiviPay and Myob have. And then, of course, some time for a little bit of a Q&A. Firstly, I want to just touch on the genesis of DiviPay as a business and a platform. This screen or this slide that you can see in front of you is all too common in businesses and non-profits that we work with. It is a photocopied credit card. Leanne, I'm not sure if you've worked with any clients that have, you've heard stories of card sharing or credit card photocopies around the office?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Or a credit card kept in the safe and somebody just goes and grabs it and runs down the street to get morning tea or supplies or whatever it might be. Absolutely. That's a challenge I work with it with any NFP at the moment. Yep.
Yeah.
Cale, I'm not sure
Sorry.
whether the slides are moving forward either, so you might just want to check
Oh,
that.
really?
Seeing it moving forward on my screen, so perhaps somebody can tell us if they're seeing that move forward. Or Grant might be able to help us with that.
Apologize. Let me stop showing my screen and I'll try again.
That's better.
Perfect.
Yep. Great.
Awesome. Great. So this, sorry everybody, this is the photocopied credit card, the infamous photocopied credit card, and this is one of the genesis of DiviPay as a business. Our founders are both ex-Westpac. They worked in the innovation team. And what they discovered was that way too many businesses were really struggling accessing really standard necessary banking products. And one of those common ones is corporate cards. Accessing those, filing the paperwork, applications, getting them approved, and then the time-consuming process of actually, issuing cards out to staff, mailing them around, really meant that so many businesses and particularly non-profits were relying on these hacky workarounds. One of them being a card that's being shared or even worse, photocopied around the business. And we have a classic story at DiviPay where we had a customer come to us in quite a bit of distress. They had this exact process going through, and they noticed a few weeks in a row that from a shared business card, $10 has been debited. They went around, shared with everyone, who spent this money, trying to figure out who made the payment, what it was for, what it relates to, and they couldn't really track it down. The finance manager went to the CEO and said, look, I really think we should actually cancel this card. High risk. They really couldn't track these payments. And what ended up happening was the CEO was just concerned that this card was connected to so many payments in the business, supplier payments, subscription direct debits, that they kind of just decided that the risk was low, don't worry about it. Lo and behold, the next week, $10,000 was frauded from the business. And to this day, they still have no idea where that money went and who took it. So a bit of a down story to kick off, but look, it's really all too common across non-profits in Australia. And this kind of leads into the topic around, what are the key problems that we do observe in non-profits? What I just touched on is a main one, right? So these spend workarounds due to lack of access to normal banking and financial products. Another one is really manual and time-consuming accounting processes. We see that non-profits have so many disconnected tools that they're using to do their jobs. Not only disconnected software tools, but payment methods as well. Not uncommon for a non-profit to have a couple of corporate cards issued from the banks, but they're also using petty cash. They're also using potentially employee reimbursements. And then, as I touched on, some of those corporate cards are being shared around as well. What this means is we have transactions going through all of these different methods, and then we're trying to match back receipts, who spent what in the bank reconciliation process across a number of systems. And then, of course, a real high risk of fraud and wasteful spending, which is a real problem for nonprofits. As a nonprofit, you are the custodian of donor funds, and it's really important that you ensure that any donations are being spent on the purpose of the organisation. Leanne, I'd love to throw it back to you. Any key stories or insights that you've seen or problems that I might not have touched on in terms of financial management across any nonprofits that you've worked with over the years?
Yeah, look, I think, there are those unusual nonprofits that believe they're a nonprofit or they're an unincorporated association where the usual big four, if you like, or the big banks don't recognize their operating structure and then make it very, very difficult for them to actually attain a corporate card of any means as well. So there's and employee reimbursements is one that I've come across a lot of times, where the time taken, I mean, basically if you're a not-for-profit and you're using employee reimbursements, the money, you need to get that money back to your employees quite quickly, and it's a really manual process that you need to go through for getting them to submit and have receipts attached and understand the costing centers for those receipts, and then doing the payment back to them. So, you know, being able to actually have that money coming from the business or the not-for-profit rather than from the employee is actually something that increases employee satisfaction as well, because, you know, there can be times where reimbursements are missed, or there's a week between payment times, you know, that sort of thing. So your employees are out of pocket. So there's those sorts of things as well. And look, just from a receipt management point of view, you know, having something that is just completely trackable through the business with the, you know, budgets and different cards for different reasons or different cost centers, it's just, you know, it's a no-brainer from that point of view, from automating all those processes, Kale.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for today, of course, you know, we are going to focus a lot on technology and how that can solve problems for nonprofits. But I think another thing I've really noticed is just a real kind of lack of policy and documentation. And, you know, sticking with the theme of employee spend, really clearly outlining, you know, for employees, and almost having a policy and an agreement in place that outlines, you know, what employees can and can't purchase within the business, and, you know, maybe spending limits that need to be approved. Do you often recommend or implement any spend policy or documentation across nonprofits?
Yeah, we have a financial management policy across a lot of the not-for-profits that I work, particularly, you know, from a board level. When I've been involved in not-for-profits from a board level, that's one of the first things that we've looked at, is all of those management and risk reduction controls that we need to have in place for the organisation. So it's very important to have that monetary policy and those do's and don'ts around your monetary policy there.
Awesome. Yeah, couldn't agree more. Now we do have a poll, and I think we'll get Grant, if you can pop that poll up for our attendees before we press on.
While
Awesome.
that poll's up, Kale, I think one of the things around that fraud minimisation, you know, it can happen so quickly these days. And the beauty of having something like, you know, the DiviPay card is that card can be cancelled straight away and easily cancelled within your DiviPay dashboard and a new card introduced. So, you know, if any of those things happen, or if there is suspicion there, it's very easy to control that card, you know, without the intervention of some of the horrendous things you have to go through with major banks in getting this stuff done.
Yeah, it's a really interesting point. I actually had one of our customers say to us once that the thing they love most about DiviPay is that it feels like that the platform's kind of stripped the control that typically lives with the bank in managing a corporate card or a spending facility, and given it right into the hands of the finance team. So they have full control over issuance, cancelling, freezing cards, and of course those custom spending limits as well.
Yep, absolutely. I totally agree with that.
Okay, we've got some results from the poll. So the question was, how do your staff and volunteers make purchases in your business? We've got 29% petty cash, 57% out-of-pocket purchases and reimbursements, 29% traditional corporate card program, and 57% is a combination of all of the above.
Yeah, that petty cash is a really big one, I think.
That's quite consistent.
Yep. Yeah, you know, whipping $20 out of the petty cash tin to go down and buy morning tea or something like that is just so traditional, not only in the NFP space, but in small business as well. But that manual process of having to control cash and secure cash, and then, you know, reconcile receipts and produce a check to cash for the top ups and all of that sort of thing is such a manual and time consuming process.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I think we have another customer story where, you know, I'll leave the names out of it, but they're in a kind of a social care, disability and aged care service, and they used to literally have drivers delivering out cash to all of their kind of residential homes that they provided care and support work from on a weekly basis.
Yep, absolutely. I had that quite a number of years ago now. I was finance and HR manager for the Lithgow Information and Neighbourhood Centre, which was quite a big disability service provider. And that's what we used to do for our residential homes. We had 3 residential homes, and every week we would have a cash up check, and that check would be divided, and I would distribute it out to those residential homes. So yeah, I understand that process really well.
Yeah. And it's interesting because a lot of my conversations, it's never because, you know, nonprofits aren't tech savvy and they don't want to implement the right processes and tools. It's kind of always come back to it just wasn't available.
Yeah.
Great. So I think is that quick poll still showing up on the screen? Can I jump back to the slide deck?
Yeah.
Grant, I'm not sure if you can pull it back to my screen.
There you go.
Awesome. Great. Perfect. So we'll jump into a bit of a product run through of DiviPay, and I'm going to throw over to you, Leanne, as well, just to talk through our awesome integration with Myob as a cloud accounting platform as well. But I guess before I do share the product, just want to quickly run everyone through, you know, how does the platform work at a really high level. So first and foremost, within DiviPay, we give you the ability to set custom, you know, once-off or recurring spending rules alongside budgets that you run in the business. Within those budgets, you can then issue virtual corporate MasterCards to staff that operate and work in those budgets, and think of budgets as departments, cost centers, teams in the business. Instant issuance of cards means that staff can then just get set up almost straight away with their mobile device. And then we have a fully functioning expense management component that allows staff to instantly capture receipts, code their expenses to the general ledger, and really capture any accounting information that's required from the finance team to close off, you know, the month end or quarter or year end. So without further ado, let's jump into DiviPay. Perfect. So this is DiviPay on our web platform. I guess it's really important to understand that DiviPay does exist in 2 places. The first one, of course, is on the web, which you can all see here. And then we do have a mobile phone app. The web is primarily where our administrators, our finance teams, you know, where Leanne, you would primarily operate from in your roles with clients. And then we've got the mobile app, and that's all about the end user, facilitating payments and receipt capture. The screen that you can see in front of you here, this is our budgets dashboard. Budgets are really important, and as I just touched on, these are how we issue cards to staff, and we set those really granular spending controls, making sure that whilst we can give staff instant access to funds, they can only ever spend exactly how much they need and on what they need it for. I've got 3 budgets set up on this demo account today, quite generic for, you know, I guess a standard nonprofit. That being said, fundraising and marketing budgets are quite common across our nonprofit customer base. We do typically see budgets being set up based on different locations, different teams, or departments in the business. And as I also highlighted just before, cost centers are a really good way that these can be set up. Creating a budget is really simple and straightforward. All I'm going to do is I'm going to give the budget a name. So another common one is operations. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a recurring top-up frequency for this budget. Do I need to give my operations team or department access to a set amount of funds on a weekly, monthly, annual? I can even do a one-time only basis, and this does work really well for those one-off events or projects that you might be working on. Let's keep things simple today. I'm going to do a monthly budget for operations where our team need $500 each in a month, and we have 2 spenders in the business. James and Joseph, we're going to issue a card. And then really importantly, we're going to have approvers on the budget as well. Now, approvers aren't set up here to, approve every single dollar of this $1,000 limit for James and Joseph. We do have the tools built into DiviPay that allows our card holders to actually request additional funds. So what I'm really saying here is, James, Joseph, under operations, here's your $1,000 cash flow to spend throughout the month. This is, of course, to be spent in line with our organizational expense policy. If you do need more funds than that, they can actually put in a top-up request through the mobile app. In DiviPay, there are two types of budgets that we can create. The first one is a shared budget. If I hit create here, we would create a shared budget, and a shared budget is where James could actually spend the full $1,000. In some instances, that's going to work really well, but we do find that in most customers, they really prefer having each card holder having their own spending limit. To toggle limits for individuals on, I simply click this slider and we can distribute the funds across our employees and volunteers as we need. Leanne, I'm not sure if you work with any clients using DiviPay that have this workflow, but a lot of our customers love actually the concept of issuing cards out with $0 on them to particularly volunteers and contractors, and making those users actually have to request funds on a purchase by purchase basis. So again, just highlighting how you can be quite loose and almost replicate a traditional corporate card program, or you can be really strict with your financial controls in DiviPay. I'll bump this one back up to 500. Let's hit create. And we're going to see that budget's created, and drilling in, we can see cards are issued to our staff instantly. One of the awesome things about DiviPay as a platform is we are a completely digital solution. So there are absolutely no paperwork, signatures, or really applications required for setting up any employees in the platform. Contractors and volunteers as well, all we need is an email address, and you have the ability to build your own custom user permissions to make sure that staff and people within the DiviPay platform only have access to what they need. Leanne, I'll throw it over to you. Your experience setting up your own DiviPay account, but also with clients, how long did it actually take you to kind of get set up and issue the first cards out on average?
Look, if it's only a very small organisation, it took me for two of my organisations probably a day to get it all sorted out, because there is that process of, similar to a bank, declaring your 100 points and verifying your identity, and having a process to get that done with 5 directors in 5 different places and all of that sort of thing. It took a little bit of management, but I had it done in a day. So it wasn't like, getting forms from a bank and having to have everybody sign them and go into the bank and provide their identity and have that captured. It was completely digital with the process that you use in the back end. So I think, from that management point of view, for organizations where you've got people across multiple locations, or especially in this environment where we're working from home, and perhaps restricted to a bank which is within our 5-kilometre radius or whatever it might be, this process is just so simple, really.
Yeah, even I had that experience recently. We, as mentioned earlier, I'm the treasurer of a education-focused nonprofit, and in a COVID lockdown, they were trying to make me go into the bank to sign a form to create a new bank account, which I thought was absurd, particularly as I work on the tech side.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, they are so time consuming. We're all time poor, and, not-for-profits always have that limited resources, limited budget, limited time. And so where we can automate those processes, it just makes life so much easier, especially in a board, from a board management point of view. You want to be giving your staff, 90% of their time on the deliverables rather than the admin and operational. That's my theory whenever I'm sitting on a board, because so often, depending on the grant the grant and all of that sort of thing, the time seems to be flipped to 20% on deliverables and 80% on responding to grant acquittals and grant requirements, and sometimes they're just so over the top. You know, a lot of the bureaucrats don't live in the world of not-for-profits, I don't think.
I could not agree more. I could not agree.
I can see, you know, I can feel everybody nodding their head there.
Awesome. So look, jumping back into the product and onto the budget. So look, we've just created a budget for operations, as you've seen, and we've instantly issued cards with those custom spending limits. I guess the other thing I'll add to budgets is, look, these are completely flexible after the fact. So if you need to cancel or freeze a card, you need to move a cardholder's limit down to $0 just for a day or for the next month or something, you can do that all from within this budget. Or you can even just delete the budget and start over again. You're not going to lose any historical data or transactional data. Awesome. So I do want to jump into another feature within the platform, and Leanne, I'm sure you'll have some comments on this. And it's our subscription and SaaS spend management platform. Look, this feature is not the bread and butter of what DiviPay does. It's not what we're most well known for, but it's a great little product and feature in itself, built almost purely off customer feedback, where, you know, a lot of our customers, and it's just normal business these days that you have 20, 30, 40, even over 50 subscriptions and direct debits running through the business every single month. Typically, they're all attached to a single credit or debit card. The finance team or the bookkeepers have no idea what they're paying for, who's using it, are they using it, what it's costing the business until, you know, after the direct debits occurred. If the card gets compromised, cancelling it means all of those subscriptions need to be reinstated. It's just an absolute nightmare. So this tool was built to issue unique individual MasterCards for specific direct debits. You can assign ownership across the business, so that one cardholder doesn't need to set up and manage every single subscription. And it's really funny. One of the comments we get from customers all the time is they want this for their personal life as well, for managing Netflix, Spotify, and all of those other subscriptions that we're using. The other thing that we can do for all of these subscriptions is, from within DiviPay, you can actually freeze and pause or delete those cards and essentially cancel or freeze the subscription automatically. And you set pre-coded rules. So for all of your software, as soon as the direct debit happens, you can code it into your, you know, Myob ledger to your software or subscription spend code. Leanne, any experience on your end with the subscription tool?
Yeah, look, this is a no-brainer with the businesses I work with, because often you'll find that a subscription will be set up by an employee under whether a personal or a business address, email address, and the management and tracking of this is so hard. And as you said, you know, subscriptions can cost a business, and sometimes and this is what subscription offers, you know, relate to or are built on, is that you set up a subscription and you just forget about it because it comes out of your bank account and you just don't notice it. So tracking and ensuring that subscription is still meeting business needs. I've got one business at the moment that is just looking at this, and they've got 30 subscriptions that they're paying for on one single corporate card, and they've got no idea why some of them have been set up and how long they've been going. So in this kind of way, you know, as you said, this is management of these subscriptions, and we live in such a digital world, and there are so many tools that are on a subscription model for businesses and not-for-profit across web-based products and, you know, accounting products, CRMs, all of that sort of thing, that being able to track them individually, and as you said, pause, turn off, because often with these subscriptions, to try and cancel them from the subscription provider is a nightmare, to try and find where you cancel it as well. They make it really easy to subscribe and really difficult to cancel. So being able to do it from your credit card and then chase it down the other end, you can rest assured that when you cancel or pause that credit card, that they will be in touch with you. And that way you'll be able to cancel it. And I think this is an easier way to track and manage subscriptions than traditional ways that we see in the marketplace.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think another thing that catches businesses out is those auto renewals of subscriptions. So always a good idea to keep a note of auto renewal dates, potentially a week or month, even if it's just a calendar reminder before those pop up and you get charged again. Great, so jumping into the newest product feature in DiviPay, and this is automatic bill payments. This product is really an end-to-end accounts payable processing and workflow tool. Again, built heavily off customer conversations where we just realized that there were so many tools to get the job done. You know, a typical accounts payable process might look like invoice is received to an email, it's then manually keyed into your accounting system like Myob, or potentially using a data automation tool to forward those emails in, or the Myob in tray and extracting that data to automatically raise it. Then you've got emails, messages, phone calls, maybe text messages as well, to get those bills reviewed and approved and ready for payment. And then you've got to essentially pull all of that data out of your accounting system, put it back into the bank account, and then process the payroll with some maybe two levels of approval in the bank account as well. So in DiviPay, we've tried to tackle that, kind of disconnected workflow, and we almost call it the great rebundling, and we're rebundling these tools into the single workflow in DiviPay. So all customers that use the bill payment tool will be able to activate their own unique @bills.divipay.com email address. You can forward your invoices into this email address, or of course just do a drag and drop process. And we will apply OCR and machine learning technology to extract all of the key data from these invoices, being the supplier details, the payment details and terms, and then of course allowing you to code all of these details back to a DiviPay budget, a chart of account code in your accounting system, of course providing a description and any cost center data as well. Once that's done, and I guess another thing that we see nonprofits really lacking is those approval processes. So the ability to send automated reminders to the delegated approvers within a business to review all of these details and simply decline or approve that bill for payment. And once it's done, once we have approved the bill, DiviPay just schedules it for payment on the due date or the scheduled date that's set by you and your team. We'll automatically pay that bill via an EFT or a bank transfer. And yeah, we've kind of just built that end-to-end workflow. Leanne, your experience, have you seen some pretty disconnected and a lot of steps in the process to get a bill paid?
Yeah, look, it is one of those processes, especially where there's an approval process. So I see this a lot in very small not-for-profits that may only have, a volunteer treasurer or a part-time finance person or a bookkeeper that's engaged to do it. And there is that approval process. And it's just that surety that, what you're paying has been approved based on budget, based on policy of the organisation. And this just helps you to see source documents to be able to approve those and set them up for payment really, really easily. So, I see this as being really good in those smaller not-for-profits. A lot of larger not-for-profits already have a good process in place, but for those smaller ones, or where you've got, volunteers that need some other approval, or even from a risk and compliance point of view, where if you're the treasurer paying bills, you want to have somebody else, maybe your president or whatever, having an approval process so that, you're minimizing compliance risk and things like that. It's a great process.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess what I want to jump into next, and I guess of course the main reason that you're here, Leanne, is the bookkeeping and the non-profit financial management guru is kind of our integrations and the accounting process and data automation side of things. So look, we do integrate with 3 accounting softwares, of course. One of the key ones is Myob. Before I throw over to Leanne, I do want to share a recent integration that we have with Slip, SLYP. These guys do digital receipts. They're an awesome technology company based out of Sydney. We are integrated with these guys as of the 25th of August. So I think just over a week ago or 2 weeks. And essentially how it works at a slip-enabled merchant, whenever a DiviPay customer uses their card in store to make a payment, a digital receipt is delivered instantly to our platform, and we can actually pass that across to accounting systems as well. So any of you that have ever had to chase down an employee for a receipt, had a missing receipt, or have even just had to deal with photos or scanning of paper receipts before, that is going to be a thing of the past in the not too distant future. But over to Myob. Leanne, I know you know really quite a lot about the DiviPay and MYOB integration. So if you don't mind just kind of sharing with us your experience and kind of the data that's pulled and pushed across the platforms.
Yeah, look, it's really quick and easy to set up. As you see, you go into the integrations and click connect, put in your MYOB credentials, your email address and password, and then your file will come up to select, and that will then pass back through to DiviPay a sync, basically. So it will sync back to DiviPay with your accounts. And then what you'll do is you'll go through these default categories and assign those default categories in DiviPay against your MYOB account code, expense code, or whatever that might be. You can also turn these codes on and off. So DiviPay on the left-hand side of your screen there, you can see they've given you quite a lot of those expense categories that are traditionally used in buying supplies and equipment for your business, including entertainment purposes and all of those sort of things. So you can turn these on and off, so you can have them turned on and off. So that you can apply them correctly. And once that's done, basically it will set up the account, asset account in MYOB for the DiviPay bank account, if you like, and then all your transactions will go into your bank account, all your source documents are there attached, and it's an easy process to reconcile your DiviPay account on a regular basis and make sure that that's there, and make sure that in DiviPay you've got enough there for your top-ups, automated top-ups and all of that sort of thing. So it's a set and forget, once only, set and forget, unless you add different codes and you want to resync different codes. But once you've set it up once in DiviPay, it is a pleasure to work with. It really is, because everything just syncs backwards and forwards between the two. They read and write and talk to each other really well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the other thing I'll add is, whilst we do have these default categories set up in the platform to help automate coding, look, we do understand that these ones can be a bit broad and a bit generic, particularly for non-profits with complex reporting requirements. So all of our customers can absolutely set up their own custom categories and map those back to your MYOB GL codes as well. In terms of expense management, we can customize requirements here. So we're always going to automatically chase up employees and require a tax invoice from them. We can also require descriptions. So really just asking staff and volunteers for a comment or note on what they purchased and why. We can also capture all of your job codes, project codes, cost center data in DiviPay. And once everything is up and running, payments being made and expense reports are being completed, you're going to see in the transaction table all of that data flowing in. You'll see exactly which employee or volunteer has made which payment, how much they paid, how much the purchase was for, where the purchase was made, the date and time, and of course we'll capture all of that expense reporting data as well, including the GST, which is auto-calculated, and then we code that and raise it as an expense in the MYOB ledger as well. So everyone, that is really DiviPay. So that's a deep dive in the product. And we do have another poll, which I'd love to throw back to Grant, if you can pop that one up. We'd love to know, in your finance teams, what do you struggle with the most? Approving spend or purchase requests? Is it chasing up receipts and expense reports? Reimbursements, are they the most time consuming and frustrating part of your workflow, or is it all of the above?
And look, while you're completing that poll also, Kale and I would love to be able to answer any questions you have. So if you could pop any questions you have into that chat panel. We don't bite. We'd love to give you as much information as we can to help you, make sure that this product would fit your needs and all of that sort of thing as well. So, happy to answer any questions that you have.
All right, very good. So let's close that poll off. 10%. Sorry, the question was, what does your finance team struggle with the most? And the responses were 10% approving spend purchase requests, 20% chasing up receipts and employee expenses, 0% completing reimbursements, and whatever that was, bank something,
Correct.
can't say it, sorry. But 70% again was all of the above, so lots of all of the aboves in responses to these questions.
Wherever
Yeah,
possible,
very.
automating these processes is just, it is just something we need to be looking at more and more today, because there are tools that will reduce anything that you're needing to do and automating those processes. So yeah, it's a real challenge in the NFP space, because obviously, again, time is just such a finite factor, and having time to look at what solutions are out there and what may meet the needs of your NFP it can be a time-consuming process.
Yeah, and Leanne, when do you is there any time that you advise clients to look into kind of technology to improve processes, or is it kind of as soon as you see that there's a problem, you kind of ask them to prioritize it ASAP?
Yep, look, as soon as possible. So, whenever I'm working with clients, digital first is always the mantra we go out with. So, and listening to clients talking to us. So, if I'm going in with an NFP and they say, oh, I'm having this problem or I'm having that problem, that is an alarm bell to me to be able to see how we can automate that process. But it's always about digital first. So what will give back time, give back money, give back resources to the NFP, because that is just such an important factor for any NFP in Australia.
Yeah, definitely. So just to finish off, I'd love to just do a quick recap of the platform. So look, in summary, DiviPay, we really have built the platform as one of our customers said, or in the words of one of our customers, to strip control away from banks and traditional financial institutions and put it in the hands of business managers, finance managers, and board members of non-profits. Issue, freeze, cancel corporate spending cards as you need. Set your own spending limits, whether those are recurring or just once off. And then, of course, importantly, just automating all of those admin tasks for not only the finance team, but employees as well. And Leanne, you raised a really good point on unlocking people within the business to focus on their jobs and their deliverables, rather than those pesky admin tasks associated with some inefficient processes.
Yep.
Great. So we will go to some question time if we kind of have a few coming through. But while we kind of give some time to answer some questions, I'll just share with you the DiviPay and Connecting Up offer. So all Connecting Up members do get 40% off DiviPay on our custom plan, plus a 30-day free trial. We'll also provide some awesome support around implementation and making sure that all of our customers do get the most out of the platform and get set up and running in a breeze. You can view this offer and inquire for some more info at connectingup.org, products partner DiviPay. And Leanne, if you want to just touch on the MYOB offer through Connecting Up.
Absolutely, and can I say the support team at DiviPay are absolutely awesome. They will work with you. Kale worked with me across a number of integrations, etc., in the early days, and the team are just awesome in their response. And they also now have DiviPay partners on the ground. So, if you want somebody that is a partner that understands integrations with MYOB, that sort of thing, check out their partners, because that's a great channel to get that support and training and perhaps education on more digital solutions for your business as well. So far as MYOB and Connecting Up a partnership goes, so Connecting Up members will receive a 30% discount off the recommended retail price of our MYOB range of products, and you can find that at /page partner MYOB when you're on the Connecting Up website. So have a look at that. You can sign on that page. You can actually fill in your details, and a member of our sales specialist team will get back to you within, I think, 48 hours to talk to you about how MYOB can support your NFP as well.
Awesome. Now we'll go to some questions, and Leanne, there's one that's come through for yourself. When you're working with any new nonprofits, or you've brought let's say a new nonprofit client on, what's the 3 first kind of, not specific technology, but maybe technology types that you implement in terms of financial management for your clients?
So the first one broadly that we look at is, what are their financial management policies in place? Have they got them, first of all? And if they haven't, where can we get them from? So, specific industries such as childcare or disability support, where are the organisations we can go to implement those policies and rework those policies to the organisation's needs? So that's the first one, because if you haven't got policy and procedure in place, then everything else doesn't flow correctly. The second one is ensuring that the finance team has the tools that they need to do their job efficiently and quickly. So making sure that their accounting software meets their needs, looking at the types of solutions like DiviPay. So looking at their expense management, bill paying capability, all of that sort of thing, seeing where their roadblocks are and how we can reduce or minimize those roadblocks or eliminate them. And then we start to move into other technologies. So do they need e-commerce solutions, CRM solutions, all of that sort of thing. And the big thing is that most of the solutions that we do look at are a one-touch solution. And by one-touch solution, I mean that the source data is captured in one program and flows through to all. So making sure that the programs that you're using are fully integrated. And with my finance hat on, it's always fully integrated with the accounting software. Everything has to integrate with the accounting software because most of it has a financial touch point. So making sure that the products you're using are integrating. So with MYOB, there's a range of add-ons that we would be looking at to make sure that we're meeting the needs and integrating everything, so that when you enter data, you only enter data once and it flows through to all your other systems. So they're probably, as I said, having that digital first. How does digital technology solve our problem? Not looking at how we manually solve that problem, trying to eliminate paper, those sorts of things. So looking at, the DiviPay captures your receipts, captures your invoices. So, the elimination of paper and being able to move towards a paperless office is just priceless in that sort of situation. So what can you do to do that? And how are you enabling tools to allow your team to reduce time spent on admin and the, the minutiae of the business, and get back to, proper service delivery to the clients that you're servicing in your NFP?
Yeah, absolutely. And Leanne, I know you're quite well known, or you might not admit it, but quite well known across the industry. Is there anywhere that attendees can kind of find out more about yourself, or get involved in any communities, or stay across any things that you're posting or presenting on in the future?
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. So look, I'm not hard to find on any social media platform, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram and Twitter. You'll find me fairly quickly if you search my name. I think I come up pretty much at the top when you search my name most times, or in Google. From a partner point of view, obviously, when you're talking to the team at DiviPay, looking at who may be a local partner or a remote partner that you may be that is a DiviPay partner. We also have a partner search tool on MYOB. So if you're using MYOB software, if you just do a Google search and search MYOB partners, you can then refine a search to what your needs are. But if you need anything from an MYOB partner point of view and you want to reach out to me, my email address would be leanne.berry@myob.com. So it's a pretty easy one to remember as well. But yeah, look, we
Awesome.
have loads of partners. You know, I was, until recently when I joined Myob, I was a board executive for the Institute of Certified Bookkeepers across Australia, and we have over 6,000 members across Australia who are professional bookkeepers and BAS agents. So you know, there is somebody near you with the requisite skills, experience, and compliance-driven focus to be able to help you in your NFP. So reach out to me or find me somewhere.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Leanne. And I guess just as for DiviPay and our Connecting Up partnership, we've got that partner page on the Connecting Up website that you can all learn more about. If you're just keen to kind of explore some of our resources, our case studies with nonprofits, some of the ebooks that we do for helping businesses manage employee spend, we've also got an awesome expense policy template. If you're keen to explore any more of our resources, you can always head to divipay.com or send me an email, kale@divipay.com, and I'll be happy to send any resources and help through. I guess we can probably wrap things up. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us, and
Not
maybe
sure whether
back
Grant
over to
has
you,
any.
Grant.
Yeah, does Grant have any further questions that we didn't see?
Oh,
I didn't have further questions because I thought that was really good and you covered off so much. That was a really good webinar. Thank you both. I guess I would say is if anybody in the audience has any final questions, this is your very last chance. I can give you a little bit more time. But if nothing drops in, I would just like to take the opportunity to thank Kale and thank Leanne, and thank DiviPay and Myob for the help they're providing to the sector. And thank everybody for attending today. Just remind everybody that you will receive a copy of the webinar and the presentation. So please do make use of it. And as Kale said, please do reach out to him or to Connecting Up or TechSoup New Zealand with any questions that you might have. Otherwise, yep, a final thank you, and no questions drop. Oh, hang on. Oh, Jessica says thanks. It was very enlightening. Thanks, Jessica. So on that note, I would wrap things up and wish everybody a really great rest of the week.
Thanks, Grant.
thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Kale. Enjoy your week, everyone. Stay safe.
Thanks so much, Leanne.